And if God replaced with similar amount of ocean, and still it will not be sufficient to write the words of God. God is full of knowledge. In Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter number 2, verse number 255, which as Muslim it is known as Ayatul Kursi, it is mentioned God is a living God. He is eternal. He possesses all knowledge. No one can intercede without His permission. No slumber or sleep overtakes God. His dominion is beyond the heaven and earth. So this is God. God is all-hearing, all-seeing, all-forgiving, full of loving kindness. Surah Al-Buruj, chapter 85, verse number 14. Surah Al-Buruj, chapter 85, verse number 16. God is doer of all that He intends. He has power over all things. Surah Fatih, chapter 35, verse number 1. Nothing happens without God's permission. Not even a single leaf can fall to the ground without God's permission. Now, brothers and sisters, the God in Islam, we call Him as Allah. That is the name given by God in the Quran. Kul huwallahu ahad. Say, He is Allah, one and only. In Arabic language, those who understand Arabic language, the moment you say Allah, you cannot have plural Allah. But the word English for God, which is God, G-O-D, the moment you add S behind, it becomes gods, meaning more than one God. But there's no such a thing as Allah in Arabic language. Or, for example, if you add the word D-E-S-S behind God, it becomes goddess, indicating female God. In Arabic language, when you say Allah, Allah is neither male nor female. And when you put God, G-O-D, capital G, it means true God. Lowercase g's, it means demigod, false God. But in Arabic language, when you put Allah, there is no uppercase or lowercase of alif. You see that? Okay, so as a Muslim, we would prefer to call God by the name Allah. But when we interact with our non-Muslim brothers and sisters, we don't mind using other terms, common terms, as God, or Tuhan, or Bhagwan, or Shakti, and so on, so forth. Okay? No, time's not up. 3 minutes more. Okay. Brothers and sisters, in Surah Hujurat, chapter 49, verse number 13, God says, O mankind, we created you from a pair, male and female, referring to Adam and Eve, and made you into tribes and nations. So you learn from one another. Not you despise one another, not you fight with one another, but we learn from one another. And verily, the most honored in the sight of God is the one with the most piety, righteousness. And the term used in the Quran is taqwa, the righteousness. God does not see whether you are male or female, or the color of your skin, but God scans your heart and looks into your righteousness. Islam is the way to the truth and life. In Surah Ma'idah chapter 5 verse number 3, the Quran says, this day I perfected your religion. The word religion in the Quran is mentioned as ad-din. Ad-din does not mean religion per se. It means the way of life. So God is saying, I perfected your way of life and completed my favor upon you and chosen Islam. Islam meaning submission to God. Submission to God as your way of life. In Surah Al-Imran chapter 3 verse number 19, the only way of life accepted by God is submission to God. In Surah Al-Imran chapter 3 verse number 85, if anyone choose a way of life other than submission to God, never will it be accepted by God. Brothers and sisters, in the Quran chapter 16 verse number 125, God says, Udu ila sabili rabbika bil hikmah wa mu'azatil hasana wajadilhum billati asad, which means invite all to the way of your Lord with wisdom and beautiful preaching, and argue with ways that are best and most gracious. Did I follow this advice in my presentation? If I did not, that is my mistake. Because Islam says, use wisdom and beautiful preaching. So brothers and sisters, that's all. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.